I used to think love was supposed to heal, not hurt. I believed that if I gave enough, supported enough, endured enough, maybe, just maybe, I could fix what was broken in someone else. I now know better. This book is about the man who almost made me lose myself completely. A man I thought was sent to protect me, but instead became my tormentor. It's about the days I smiled through bruises, both physical and emotional. The times I looked my son in the eyes, promising him a better life while I could barely promise myself tomorrow. It's not easy to write this, but silence helps no one. I write this for the women who are stuck in the cycle, for the ones being told you're crazy when their intuition screams otherwise, for the mothers who sacrifice their dreams just to keep peace in a war zone of a home, for the children who are watching, learning what love is and isn't. You'll read about manipulation dressed up as love, about betrayal, heartbreak, violence, and survival. But more importantly, you'll see what it looks like to rise, to take back your voice, your worth, and your freedom. This is the truth. Unfiltered, unapologetic. At first, it was little things. A sigh that lasted too long, a look that lingered too hard, a tone in his voice that didn't match the words coming out of his mouth. I remember brushing it off, telling myself he was just tired, maybe stressed. But in my gut, something had shifted. The man who once called me queen started calling me too sensitive. He started making comments about the way I dressed. "You're a mother now. You shouldn't be wearing that." I thought he was just being protective again. But the truth? He was slowly shrinking me. The hate came next, disguised as love. Piece by piece, he pulled me away from the people who had always been my lifeline. The scariest part wasn't even the anger. It was the way he could flip the switch, how one moment he'd be cold, distant, cruel, and the next he was holding me, kissing my forehead, telling me he loved me and couldn't live without me. It was confusing, addicting, exhausting, and I kept trying to earn his love again like I had done something to lose it. By the time I realized I was being manipulated, I had already made excuses for too many things. I was deep in it financially, emotionally, mentally. But what I didn't know was that things were about to get much worse. Didn't leave soon, I was going to lose me completely. As the years went on, I clung to the belief that things would change. I convinced myself that I could love the pain away, that I could be the one to help him get right. It's a strange thing, love. It can blind you, twist your reality into something that feels like hope, even when it's drowning in despair. Through it all, I remained faithful. 4.5 years of loyalty to a man who couldn't even offer the simplest acts of respect. I spent those years watching him, from the sidelines of my own life, live as if I didn't exist. I heard rumors, saw the pictures, him on vacation, riding motorcycles with women in Jamaica while I stayed home, waiting. My waiting felt like love, but in truth it was suffocating me. Despite the evidence that slapped me in the face, I stayed. I wanted my children to experience what I thought was a normal family, 2 parents in a home, together. I wanted my children to feel the security of family, and in my mind, that was worth the sacrifices I was making. But no matter how long I stayed, no matter how much I tried to create a family from the broken pieces, the truth remained. I was invisible to him. The affection I craved was as foreign to him as the concept of consistency. I gave him everything, but he gave me nothing. And the abuse continued. The last straw came one day in the backyard, on a day that should have been peaceful. We were laughing, the children playing, and I was talking about a new opportunity I had, a chance to buy a home.
You can take the baby and go. I don't give a fuck.
I was taken aback. What had I done? Why was he so angry? "Stay right here with me," she said, gripping my hand. And just like that, he snapped. I couldn't fight him back physically. I didn't want to hurt anyone, even if he was hurting me. Through the blur of pain, I heard my children crying, pleading for it to stop. And when he left, I found the strength to pick up the phone, to call him. I was furious, beyond angry. I was tired. He came back, made his daughter sit in his truck and forced his way into the house, a storm of violence once again. My son, who had seen it all, didn't want to go with his father anymore. He said his father was mean, that he didn't like him, because he had seen the cruelty. I tried, God, how I tried. I tried to keep the peace. I tried to hold on to the dream of a family that was never truly mine. And finally, I made the decision to leave. I couldn't be here anymore, for my sake, for my children's sake. I had to break free. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. The first few months after I left felt like living in the eye of a storm. There was calmness, yes, but it was deceptive. Beneath the surface, the winds of uncertainty howled relentlessly. There were moments when I questioned whether I'd made the right decision. My mind would drift back to him, to the way things had been before it all fell apart, the good moments, the love we'd once shared. But deep down, I knew those memories were tainted. I found myself thinking about the life I had now, the quiet, peaceful moments spent with my children, the fresh air in the mornings. Yet, every time I allowed myself to feel contentment, guilt would claw at my insides. But I couldn't ignore the truth. I needed to keep moving forward. I started small. I began to volunteer at local shelters. Their stories mirrored mine in so many ways. I took part in support groups and found myself opening up in ways I hadn't thought possible. At first, I was terrified of being vulnerable, of revealing the pieces of myself that were broken. Writing became my refuge, a place where I could sort through the chaos of my emotions. One day, I sat at my desk, my fingers hovering over the keyboard when the thought hit me. I could turn this story into something more. I began researching organizations, connecting with experts in the field. There were days when the weight of it all felt too heavy to bear. I also took time to reconnect with my children in a way that felt new. One night, after tucking them into bed, I stood by their door, watching them sleep. I had done this for them. I had left because I wanted to give them a better life, but it wasn't just for them, it was for me too. The road ahead was still uncertain, and I knew the healing process was far from over. But for the first time in a long time, I felt a glimmer of peace.